The unexpected refusal. The discovery. Commander Valaxis stood on the bridge of the Federation starship Eternal Harmony, staring at the holographic display with growing interest. The sensors had detected something unusual in the outer spiral arm of the galaxy, a region the Federation had catalogued as sparsely populated and technologically undeveloped. Radio signals, primitive but unmistakable, were emanating from a small yellow star system. "Commander, the translation algorithms have finished processing," reported Lieutenant Shara, her violet skin reflecting the soft blue light of the control panels. "The signals contain mathematical sequences, cultural broadcasts, and what appears to be entertainment media. They call their world Earth." Valaxis nodded slowly, his three eyes narrowing in concentration. First contact situations were always delicate, but they followed a well-established pattern. The Federation had perfected the process over 4,000 years and hundreds of species. Every civilization eventually joined the galactic community, sharing their knowledge and benefiting from the collective wisdom of thousands of worlds. "Set course for the system," Valaxis commanded. "Prepare the standard first contact package. We will offer them the gift of membership in the greatest alliance the universe has ever known." The journey to Earth took 3 weeks. During that time, the Federation team studied everything they could learn from the primitive radio transmissions. The humans appeared to be a young species, barely beginning to explore their own star system. Their technology was crude but functional. They had achieved basic spaceflight, nuclear power, and digital computing. Nothing remarkable, nothing that suggested they would be anything other than grateful recipients of Federation guidance. The first meeting. When the Eternal Harmony entered Earth's solar system, the response was immediate and organized. Human vessels, small and simple compared to Federation ships, moved to intercept. Their formations were disciplined and their communications were clear and professional. Valaxis noted this with mild approval. At least these humans understood basic military protocol. "This is Commander Valaxis of the Galactic Federation," he broadcast on all frequencies. "We come in peace to welcome humanity into the community of advanced civilizations. We request permission to establish diplomatic contact with your leadership." The response came within minutes. "Commander Valaxis, this is Ambassador Marcus Stone of Earth's United Assembly. We welcome you to our system and accept your offer of diplomatic contact. Please proceed to coordinates we are transmitting now. Our delegation awaits you." The meeting took place on a neutral space station that orbited Earth's moon. Valaxis had to admit that the structure was impressive for such a young species. Clean lines, efficient design, and adequate life support systems for multiple species types. The humans had clearly prepared for this moment with considerable thought. Ambassador Stone was a tall human with gray hair and steady dark eyes. He wore simple clothing without military insignia or excessive decoration. 2 other humans accompanied him, a woman who appeared to be a scientist and a man who carried himself like a soldier. All 3 seemed remarkably calm for beings who were meeting alien life for the first time. "Welcome, Commander Valaxis," Stone said with a slight bow. "This is Dr. Sarah Chen, our chief scientist, and General Robert Hayes, our military advisor. We are honored by your visit and eager to learn more about the Federation." Valaxis returned the gesture of respect. "The honor is ours, Ambassador Stone. The Federation has waited long to welcome humanity to the stars. Today marks the beginning of a new chapter in your species' history." They sat around a circular table, a design the humans had chosen to emphasize equality. Valaxis appreciated the symbolism even as he prepared to explain the reality of their situation. The protocol. "The Federation operates on principles that have maintained galactic peace for 4 millennia, Valaxis began. "When a new species reaches the stars, we extend an invitation to join our community. This membership brings tremendous benefits. Access to advanced technology, protection from external threats, participation in galactic trade, and the wisdom of thousands of civilizations." Ambassador Stone listened intently, his expression thoughtful. "These sound like wonderful opportunities, Commander. What does the Federation require in return?" "Transparency," Valaxis replied simply. "All member species participate in the Revelation Protocol. You provide complete information about your technology, your military capabilities, your industrial capacity, and your scientific knowledge. This allows the Federation to assess how your species can best contribute to our collective prosperity. It also ensures that no member poses a hidden threat to galactic security." Dr. Chen leaned forward slightly. "Complete information? You mean you want access to all of our research, all of our technological databases, everything?" "Precisely," Valaxis confirmed. This has been standard procedure for every species that has joined the Federation. Some were hesitant at first, but all eventually understood the wisdom of transparency. Knowledge shared is knowledge multiplied. By pooling our understanding, we advance together. General Hayes spoke for the first time, his voice measured and careful. And if a species chooses not to share everything? What happens then? Valaxis felt a flicker of surprise at the question. That has never occurred, General. The benefits of membership far outweigh any perceived value in secrecy. Species that refuse the Revelation Protocol cannot join the Federation. They remain isolated, cut off from galactic society, unable to trade or communicate with the thousands of worlds that comprise our alliance. The three humans exchanged glances, a silent communication that Valaxis could not interpret. Then Ambassador Stone spoke, his words calm and clear. Commander Valaxis, we appreciate the Federation's offer. We would be honored to establish diplomatic relations, to participate in cultural exchanges, and to engage in mutually beneficial trade. However, Earth's government has discussed this situation extensively, and we must respectfully decline the Revelation Protocol. The words hung in the air like a physical presence. Valaxis stared at the human ambassador, certain he had misunderstood. The translation system must have malfunctioned. No species had ever refused the Revelation Protocol. Not in 4,000 years. Not once. I apologize, Ambassador, Valaxis said slowly. Could you repeat that statement? I want to ensure I understood correctly. We decline to participate in complete technological disclosure, Stone repeated, his tone unchanged. We will gladly share basic scientific principles. We will cooperate on humanitarian projects. We will honor all peace treaties and diplomatic agreements. But our complete technological capabilities will remain classified information controlled by Earth's government. The shock. Valaxis felt something he had rarely experienced in his long career as a diplomatic officer. Complete and utter confusion. He looked around the room, expecting to see his team equally bewildered. They were. Lieutenant Shera's normally composed expression had cracked into open shock. Science Officer Tobin was checking his translation device repeatedly, convinced it must be malfunctioning. Ambassador Stone, Valaxis said carefully, perhaps you do not fully comprehend the situation. The Revelation Protocol is not optional. It is the foundation of Federation membership. Without compliance, your species will face severe restrictions. No trade agreements with member worlds. No technology transfers. No cultural exchange programs. Limited communication with galactic civilization. Your people will stagnate while the rest of the galaxy advances beyond your comprehension. Ambassador Stone nodded with what appeared to be genuine understanding. We are aware of these consequences, Commander. Our government spent 8 months in deliberation before reaching this decision. Every nation on Earth, every colony in our system, voted on this matter. The result was unanimous. We will not be providing detailed information about our capabilities to any external organization, no matter the cost. Dr. Chen added, we mean no disrespect to the Federation or its traditions, Commander. We simply believe that maintaining some degree of autonomy and privacy is essential for our species' development. We hope you can understand our position. Valaxis felt frustration rising in his chest. This was impossible. Young species were supposed to be eager, even desperate, to join the Federation. They were supposed to be overwhelmed by the technology and knowledge offered to them. They were not supposed to refuse with calm politeness and talk about privacy and autonomy. Ambassador, I must warn you that the Federation Council may interpret your refusal as a sign of hostile intent. Species that hide their capabilities are viewed as potential threats. The consequences could extend beyond mere economic isolation. For the first time, General Hayes's expression changed slightly. Not to fear or concern but to something else. Something that made Valaxis suddenly uncomfortable in a way he could not explain. Commander, Hayes said quietly, we truly hope the Federation chooses peaceful solutions. We have no desire for conflict. But we will not be intimidated into compliance, no matter what pressure you apply. The meeting ended shortly after, with promises to continue diplomatic discussions and explore areas of mutual cooperation. But as Valaxis returned to his ship, he felt deeply unsettled. The humans had been too calm, too confident. They acted like a species that held advantages instead of a primitive civilization facing isolation from galactic society. The investigation. Back aboard the Eternal Harmony, Valaxis called an emergency conference with his senior staff. The holographic display showed Earth spinning peacefully below them, a beautiful blue and green world that seemed utterly ordinary. This makes no sense, Lieutenant Shara said, her voice tight with frustration. Every analysis shows they are a young species. Their ships use chemical rockets and basic fusion drives. Their weapons are kinetic projectiles and primitive energy beams. Their computing technology is at least 500 years behind Federation standards. Yet they act as if they can afford to refuse us. Science Officer Tobin was reviewing sensor data with obsessive attention. I have scanned their vessels thoroughly. Metal alloys, mostly iron and titanium composites. Simple construction techniques. Nothing unexpected. Nothing that suggests hidden capabilities. Then why are they so confident? Valaxis demanded. Ambassador Stone showed no fear, no hesitation. He spoke as if refusing the Federation was a reasonable choice, as if isolation from galactic civilization was an acceptable price to pay for secrecy. Perhaps they are simply ignorant, suggested Tactical Officer Bren, his scales rippling with agitation. They may not truly understand what they are giving up. Once they experience the reality of isolation, they will reconsider. Valaxis wanted to believe that explanation, but something about the humans' behavior troubled him deeply. He had conducted first contact with 17 species during his career. He had seen fear, excitement, aggression, confusion, and desperate eagerness. He had never seen this calm certainty, this quiet confidence that suggested they knew something the Federation did not. Begin deep surveillance operations, Valaxis ordered. I want to know everything about Earth and humanity. Their history, their technology, their military capabilities, everything. Use our most advanced stealth reconnaissance drones. If they are hiding something, we will find it. The surveillance operation began within hours. The Federation deployed 3 of their most sophisticated spy drones, equipped with quantum stealth fields that made them essentially invisible to any known detection technology. These drones had successfully gathered intelligence on hundreds of worlds without ever being detected. The first drone entered Earth's orbital space and transmitted data for approximately 40 minutes. Then it simply stopped transmitting. No explosion, no warning, no distress signal. One moment it was sending detailed scans of human installations. The next moment, silence. Mechanical failure? Valaxis suggested, though he knew it was unlikely. Federation technology rarely failed, and 3 backup systems would have prevented any complete loss of signal. Checking, Tobin reported, his fingers dancing across holographic controls. The second drone is still operational. Redirecting it to investigate the first drone's last known position. The second drone approached the coordinates where the first had gone silent. Its sensors swept the area thoroughly, finding nothing but empty space. Then it too stopped transmitting. Valaxis felt cold dread settling in his chest. 2 drones, gone without explanation. Pull back the third drone immediately. Return it to the ship. But before the order could be executed, the third drone's signal also vanished. The bridge of the Eternal Harmony fell into shocked silence. 3 of the Federation's most advanced reconnaissance platforms had simply disappeared. No debris, no energy signatures, no indication of what had happened to them. Commander, Lieutenant Shara said, her voice shaking slightly, we are receiving a transmission from Earth. It is from Ambassador Stone. Put it on screen. Ambassador Stone appeared in the holographic display, sitting in the same simple office where they had first met. His expression was friendly and calm, showing no signs of aggression or anger. Commander Valaxis, Stone said with a slight smile, I hope you and your crew are well. I wanted to inform you that we have recovered 3 reconnaissance drones that were operating in our orbital space. The crew members aboard these drones are unharmed and will be returned to you shortly. However, I must insist that you discontinue unauthorized surveillance of Earth's territory. We value our privacy and hope you will respect our wishes in this matter. The drones will be waiting at the edge of our system, ready for pickup. We look forward to continuing our diplomatic relationship on terms of mutual respect. The transmission ended, leaving Valaxis staring at empty space where the ambassador's image had been. Crew members. Tobin whispered. The drones were unmanned. They were fully automated platforms. Apparently not, Valaxis replied, his voice hollow. The return. The Eternal Harmony moved to the coordinates Stone had specified, at the very edge of the solar system. There, floating in perfect formation, were the 3 reconnaissance drones. Scans showed they were intact and fully functional. But there was something else. 3 small vessels attached to each drone, containing life signs. When the Federation recovered the drones, they found crew members inside the attached vessels. But these were not human crew members. They were Federation personnel from other ships, individuals who had been assigned to various vessels across the fleet. They were alive, healthy, and completely confused. "I do not understand," one of them kept repeating. "I was on the science vessel Quantum Dawn, conducting routine research near the Helios cluster. I went to sleep in my quarters. Then I woke up here in this strange vessel, with no memory of how I arrived." All three crew members told similar stories. They had been going about their normal duties on Federation ships light years away from Earth. Then they had somehow been transported to these vessels attached to the spy drones, with no memory of the journey and no understanding of how it had happened. The drone's computer systems had been completely wiped except for one file. When Valaxis opened it, he found a simple text message. "We understand your need to verify our capabilities, but we prefer not to be studied like specimens under a microscope. The individuals we returned to you were never in danger and have not been harmed in any way. We chose people from distant Federation ships to demonstrate that distance is not a barrier for us. We hope this clarifies our position. Humanity values its privacy and its sovereignty. We ask that you respect both. With friendship and hope for peaceful relations, Ambassador Marcus Stone." Valaxis read the message 3 times, each reading making him feel colder. The implications were staggering. Humanity had detected the Federation's most advanced stealth technology. They had captured 3 drones without any visible effort. They had somehow transported Federation personnel across light years of space instantaneously. And they had done all of this while maintaining their appearance as a primitive species barely beginning to explore their own solar system. "Send an emergency transmission to Federation High Command," Valaxis ordered, his voice barely above a whisper. "Priority Alpha classification. We have encountered something beyond our understanding. Request immediate guidance and possible military support." As the Eternal Harmony retreated from the solar system, Valaxis watched Earth growing smaller on his displays. The beautiful blue planet looked peaceful and innocent, home to a species that seemed utterly ordinary. But appearances, he now understood, could be devastatingly deceptive. Somewhere on that world, humanity was keeping secrets. And those secrets were powerful enough to make them unafraid of the greatest alliance the galaxy had ever known. The question that haunted Valaxis as he began his report to the Federation Council was simple but terrifying. If humanity could do all of this while pretending to be primitive, what could they do if they decided to stop pretending? The truth beyond understanding. The Emergency Council. The Federation High Command Chamber was a place of absolute authority, a massive spherical room where representatives from 500 civilizations gathered to make decisions that affected trillions of lives across the galaxy. The chamber had witnessed countless debates over 4,000 years, but never had it convened with such urgency and secrecy as it did now. Supreme Chancellor Morith stood at the center podium, her crystalline form refracting light in patterns that reflected her deep concern. Around her, holographic projections displayed the senior members of the Federation Council, their faces showing expressions ranging from confusion to outright fear. "We have reviewed Commander Valaxis's report 3 times, Chancellor Morith began, her voice resonating through the chamber like music through crystal. "Each review has left us with more questions than answers. Chief Scientist Torn, please present your analysis." Torn was a member of the collective mind species, his consciousness distributed across 7 physical bodies that moved in perfect synchronization. He activated the central holographic display, and images of Earth filled the chamber. "The situation is unprecedented," Torn said, all 7 of his bodies speaking in perfect unison. "According to our sensors, humanity is exactly what they appear to be. A young civilization with primitive technology. Their ships use chemical propulsion and basic fusion drives. Their weapons are kinetic projectiles enhanced with simple energy systems. Their computational abilities are centuries behind our own. Every measurement, every scan, every analysis confirms they are technologically inferior." "Then how did they detect our stealth drones?" demanded Admiral Krethix, the military commander whose 4 arms gestured with sharp, aggressive movements. "Our quantum stealth fields have never failed. Not once in 2,000 years of operation." "That is the question that led me to investigate further," Torn replied. His bodies manipulated the holographic controls, and the display changed to show detailed sensor readings. "I began examining all data we have collected about humanity with extreme scrutiny. And I found anomalies." The display zoomed in on sensor readings from human vessels. Numbers scrolled past, too fast for most species to follow, but the collective mind processed information at speeds that made conventional computers seem slow. "The metal alloys in their ship hulls show normal properties," Torn explained. "But the quantum signatures fluctuate in ways that should be impossible. It is as if our sensors cannot decide what they are actually detecting." The readings shift between showing primitive metals and showing something else, something our instruments cannot properly classify. Chancellor Morith leaned forward, her crystalline features catching the light. Could this be a sensor malfunction? I initially believed so, Torn admitted. But then I examined the biological scans of the humans themselves. Standard carbon-based life forms, exactly as expected. Neural patterns consistent with organic intelligence. Genetic markers showing typical evolutionary development. Everything appears completely normal. Why do I sense there is a significant exception coming? Asked Counselor Vexera, her ancient voice carrying the weight of 3 centuries of diplomatic experience. Torrent's 7 bodies all nodded simultaneously. Because there is. When our telepathic specialists attempted to read human minds during the initial contact, they encountered something unprecedented. Not resistance, not mental shields, but absolute emptiness. As if human consciousness exists in a space that our telepathic abilities cannot access. A wave of shocked murmurs rippled through the council chamber. Telepathic scanning was one of the Federation's most reliable tools for understanding new species. Every civilization encountered in 4,000 years had minds that could be read, at least partially. In our entire recorded history, Torn continued, we have never encountered conscious beings whose minds are completely invisible to telepathic contact. This suggests either that humans have developed mental shielding far beyond anything we possess, or that their consciousness operates on principles we do not understand. Admiral Krethix slammed one of his fists on his console. This is absurd. We are talking about a species that barely controls their own planet. They have not even established colonies beyond their moon. How could they possibly possess technology or abilities that exceed our own? That question led me to the historical archives, Torn said quietly. His bodies moved to adjust the display again, and this time ancient records filled the chamber. I searched for any previous encounters with humanoid species, any unexplained incidents, any data that might provide context for what we are experiencing. The holographic display began showing images of dead worlds, ancient ruins, and archaeological sites scattered across the galaxy. Each image was marked with dates spanning thousands of years. I found 23 records, Torn announced. 23 separate incidents over the past 15,000 years where Federation exploration teams discovered the remains of advanced civilizations. In each case, the extinct species was humanoid, bipedal beings remarkably similar to modern humans. In each case, they vanished without explanation, leaving behind ruins that defied analysis. The chamber fell silent as the implications began to sink in. Chancellor Morith's crystalline form seemed to dim slightly. Are you suggesting that humanity is not a young species at all? I am suggesting that humanity may be older than the Federation itself, Torn replied. Each of these archaeological sites shows evidence of technology far beyond our current understanding. The ruins contain structures that exist in more dimensions than we can perceive. The artifacts change properties when observed. The written languages cannot be translated by our most advanced systems. And in every case, Federation scientists reported the same feeling of being utterly outmatched by whatever civilization had built these places. He paused, letting the information settle before continuing. The skeletal remains found at these sites are genetically similar to modern humans. Not identical, but close enough to suggest a common origin. The pattern is clear once you recognize it. Humanity has been spacefaring for thousands of years, possibly tens of thousands. Every time the Federation encounters traces of their presence, they have already moved on. But why? Counselor Vexera asked, her voice barely a whisper. Why would an advanced civilization pretend to be primitive? Why make contact now? Those are the questions that terrify me, Torn admitted. A species with the patience to remain hidden for millennia, with the technology to appear primitive while possessing devastating capabilities, has motivations we cannot begin to understand. They are not playing by rules we recognize. They are engaged in something far more complex than simple exploration or expansion. The decision. The Council debated for 17 hours straight. Some members argued for immediate military action, believing that humanity represented an existential threat that needed to be neutralized before it was too late. Others advocated for complete withdrawal, suggesting the Federation should avoid contact with a civilization so far beyond their understanding. In the end, fear won the argument. The Federation had never encountered something it could not understand or control. The thought that humanity might possess power beyond Federation comprehension was intolerable. If humans were truly as advanced as the evidence suggested, they could potentially destroy the Federation if they chose. The only logical response was a preemptive strike using overwhelming force. Admiral Krethix took command of Operation Silent Thunder, the largest military deployment in Federation history. 500 warships were assembled from across the galaxy, each equipped with the most devastating weapons Federation science could produce. Quantum torpedoes that could tear holes in spacetime itself. Antimatter bombs capable of destroying entire planets. Reality-shearing weapons that could unmake matter at the fundamental level. If the humans possess advanced technology, they are still limited by the laws of physics, Admiral Krethix declared to his assembled fleet commanders. We will overwhelm them with such force that no defense will be possible. The operation will be swift, decisive, and absolute. The Armada departed from Federation space with full military honors. Across 500 worlds, citizens watched the broadcast showing their mighty fleet departing to protect galactic civilization from a mysterious threat. The official statement was carefully worded, describing humanity as a potential danger that required immediate neutralization for the safety of all Federation members. Only the highest levels of Federation leadership knew the truth. They were not attacking because humanity was dangerous. They were attacking because humanity had made them afraid. The approach. The Federation Armada moved through space like a storm of metal and energy, 500 warships traveling in perfect formation toward the small yellow star that humans called Sol. Admiral Krethix stood on the bridge of his flagship, the Sword of Unity, watching tactical displays that showed the overwhelming power at his command. All ships report ready status, his tactical officer announced. Weapons systems are charged and locked. Targeting solutions are prepared for all significant human installations. Excellent, Krethix replied. We will establish position at the outer edge of their system and issue one final ultimatum. If they do not surrender completely within 1 standard hour, we will commence bombardment of military targets. But as the fleet crossed the invisible boundary that marked the edge of human-controlled space, things began to change. It started subtly, so gradually that no one noticed at first. Navigation systems began suggesting minor course corrections, small adjustments that would take ships slightly away from Earth. Weapon targeting systems developed tiny calibration errors that required constant recalibration. Crew members across the fleet reported unusual dreams during their rest periods, dreams of going home to see their families. Admiral Krethix dismissed these problems as normal operational difficulties during a long deployment. The fleet continued forward, penetrating deeper into the solar system. Then the whispers began. At first, individual crew members thought they were imagining it. A faint sound at the edge of hearing, like voices speaking just below the threshold of comprehension. But as the fleet moved closer to Earth, the whispers grew stronger. They seemed to come from everywhere and nowhere, suggesting thoughts that felt almost like the crew's own internal voices. This is wrong, the whispers seemed to say. Turn back. Go home. This is not necessary. Medical officers reported increasing cases of anxiety and doubt among crew members. Perfectly trained soldiers began questioning the mission. Experienced officers expressed concerns about whether they were doing the right thing. The psychological effects spread through the fleet like a virus. Admiral, his chief medical officer reported with visible concern, we are experiencing unprecedented levels of psychological distress across all vessels. Crew members are reporting feelings of wrongness, of being in the presence of something vast and incomprehensible. Some are experiencing panic attacks despite having no history of such conditions. Maintain discipline, Krethix ordered, though he felt the same creeping unease in his own mind. We are committed to this operation. All ships will continue to target coordinates. The fleet pressed forward, but reality itself seemed to resist their progress. Space appeared subtly wrong. The stars looked different than they should. Earth appeared on sensors one moment and seemed to shift position the next, though physics said such movement was impossible. Most disturbing of all, every member of the fleet became overwhelmingly certain that continuing would result in something terrible. Not destruction. Not death. Something worse. Something that would fundamentally change them in ways they could not articulate but instinctively feared. The conversation. Admiral Krethix, his communications officer called out, her voice shaking. We are receiving a transmission on all frequencies simultaneously. It is appearing on every communication system in the fleet, including systems that are not even connected to external receivers. Put it on the main display, Krethix ordered, his 4 hands gripping his command chair with unconscious tension. The holographic display activated, and Ambassador Marcus Stone appeared. He sat in a simple chair in what looked like a modest office on Earth. His expression was calm and sad, like a teacher disappointed that a promising student had made a terrible choice. Admiral Krethix, Stone said, somehow knowing exactly who he was addressing despite the thousands of ships in the fleet. "I think it is time we had an honest conversation." Krethix felt his breath catch in his throat. The ambassador's image was not just on his flagship. According to the reports flooding in, Stone was appearing simultaneously on every ship in the fleet, speaking to each commander by name, present on every bridge as if he were physically there. "You are interfering with a lawful Federation military operation," Krethix managed to say, though the words felt hollow even as he spoke them. "Admiral," Stone replied gently, "there is nothing lawful about what you are attempting. You came here to destroy us because we frightened you by refusing to reveal our secrets. You came here because uncertainty terrified you more than the thought of committing genocide against an entire species. We came here because you represent a threat to galactic security," Krethix said, but the words lacked conviction. Ambassador Stone's expression grew even sadder. "We have never threatened anyone, Admiral. We asked only to be left alone, to maintain our privacy and sovereignty. Instead, you responded with surveillance and when that failed, with overwhelming military force. And now you stand at the edge of our home, pointing weapons at our world, and you wonder why we chose not to share our capabilities with you." Krethix tried to respond but found he could not speak. His weapons systems were displaying error messages. Every tactical display on his flagship showed the same status: weapons offline, targeting systems inactive, safety protocols engaged. "How?" he whispered. Stone stood up from his chair and then something impossible happened. He was no longer just an image on a screen. He was there, physically present on the bridge of the Sword of Unity, standing in front of Admiral Krethix despite being light years away moments before. The bridge crew froze in shock. Several reached for weapons but found their hands would not obey. Not because they were paralyzed but because every instinct screamed that threatening this human would be the worst mistake of their lives. "Please do not be afraid," Stone said softly, his voice filled with genuine compassion. "We mean you no harm. We have never meant you harm." "What are you?" Krethix asked, his voice barely audible. Stone looked infinitely sad as he answered. "We are what you could become, Admiral. What we hope you will become, given time. We are a species that learned patience, that learned to watch younger civilizations grow without interfering unnecessarily. We are guardians, observers, and sometimes teachers when needed." He gestured toward the main display, which now showed Earth in impossible detail despite the distance. But it was not the primitive world the Federation had expected. Cities of pure light sprawled across the continents, reaching toward space in spirals of beauty that made hardened soldiers weep at the sight. Ships moved through the atmosphere like living things, flowing through the sky as if gravity was merely a polite suggestion they chose to follow. "This is what we truly are," Stone said. "We have been traveling the stars for 50,000 years. We have watched galaxies form and die. We have seen civilizations rise and fall across countless worlds. And every time a new species reaches for the stars, we watch to see what they will become." "Why?" Krethix managed to ask. "Why hide? Why pretend to be primitive?" "Because young civilizations need to grow on their own terms," Stone explained. "If we revealed ourselves fully, you would become dependent on us. You would stop striving, stop growing, stop reaching for your own potential. We appear primitive so that you will treat us as equals, engage with us honestly, show us who you truly are without fear or false respect." He walked across the bridge and reality seemed to bend around him. "The Federation has accomplished many great things, Admiral. You have brought peace to thousands of worlds. You have enabled cooperation between species that might otherwise have destroyed each other. These are achievements worthy of pride." Stone stopped and turned to face Krethix directly. "But you have also grown arrogant. You believe that your way is the only way, that forced transparency and mandatory compliance are the foundations of peace. You have forgotten that true cooperation must be voluntary, that respect must include the right to privacy and self-determination. What will you do to us?" Krethix whispered, expecting destruction or enslavement or something worse. "Nothing," Stone replied simply. "We will return your fleet to Federation space, unharmed and intact. No one will be punished. No vessels will be destroyed. Your crews will remember everything that happened here, and they will carry that knowledge back to your government." He smiled slightly, though the sadness never left his eyes. "You came here to force us into submission. Instead, you learned that force was never an option. You came here believing you were the advanced civilization confronting primitives. Instead, you discovered that you were the children being evaluated by your elders." Stone began to fade, his form becoming translucent. "We will give the Federation a gift, Admiral. Time. Time to grow, time to reconsider your approach, Time to become something greater than you are now. We will maintain peaceful relations if you choose. We will share knowledge that can benefit your people, knowledge given freely rather than extracted by force. But we will never submit to your protocols, and we will never stop protecting our sovereignty. His image flickered like a candle in the wind. Go home, Admiral Crethix. Tell your leaders what you have seen. Tell them that humanity extends an offer of friendship to equals, not an ultimatum to subjects. The choice of how to proceed is yours. Then he was gone, and Admiral Crethix found himself alone on his bridge with his shocked crew. Throughout the fleet, similar scenes had played out. Every commander had received the same message, experienced the same impossible demonstration of power tempered with mercy. The return. The Federation Armada returned to their space in complete silence. 500 warships that had departed with confidence and pride came home humbled and transformed. Not a single shot had been fired. Not a single casualty had been sustained. Yet every member of the fleet knew they had participated in the most significant event in galactic history. The council chamber was packed when Admiral Crethix gave his report. He spoke for 3 hours, describing everything that had happened, showing recordings that barely captured the reality of what they had experienced. When he finished, the chamber remained silent for a long time. So we are not alone, Chancellor Morith finally said, her crystalline form seeming dimmer than usual. We are not the apex civilization. We are the children being watched over by something far greater than ourselves. What do we do? Counselor Vexra asked, her ancient voice showing every one of her 3 centuries. Chief Scientist Torn stood up, all 7 of his bodies moving in unison. We grow up, he said simply. We acknowledge that the universe is larger and stranger than we imagined. We abandon the idea that forced compliance is the only path to cooperation. We accept humanity's offer of friendship between equals and learn from them how to become something better than we are. The vote was not unanimous. Some members argued for continued isolation from humanity, for treating them as a threat to be monitored and contained. But the majority recognized the truth. The Federation had been given a gift, not just of knowledge but of perspective. They had encountered something beyond their understanding and had been shown mercy instead of destruction. The new beginning. 6 months later, Ambassador Marcus Stone returned to Federation space. This time the meeting was different. The Federation representatives approached with genuine respect, not the condescending patience they had shown to new species before. We have restructured our integration protocols, Chancellor Morith announced. The revelation process is no longer mandatory. Species seeking Federation membership may choose what information to share. Privacy and sovereignty are now recognized as fundamental rights for all civilizations. Stone smiled warmly. That is a wonderful step forward, Chancellor. Humanity is pleased to establish formal diplomatic relations with the Federation on these new terms. They signed treaties as equals, establishing trade agreements and cultural exchanges. The Federation learned much from humanity in the years that followed, not just about technology but about patience, about growth, about allowing younger civilizations to develop at their own pace. But one question haunted Federation leadership, a question that Torn finally asked during a private meeting with Ambassador Stone. How many? Torn asked. How many observer species like humanity are out there watching civilizations grow? Stone's expression became unreadable. Chief Scientist Torn, there are questions we cannot answer yet. Not because we wish to keep secrets, but because some knowledge must be earned through growth rather than given through revelation. He paused, then added, but I will tell you this. Humanity is not unique. Across the galaxy, across the universe, there are watchers and guardians. Species so ancient and advanced that they exist in ways you cannot yet imagine. Some are benevolent, some are indifferent, some are hostile. The Federation's choice to grow beyond forced compliance, to respect sovereignty and embrace voluntary cooperation, that choice determines which of these ancient powers will consider you worthy of contact. Torn felt a chill run through all 7 of his bodies. We are being tested. All civilizations are being tested, Stone replied. Every moment, every choice, every decision about how to treat other species and how to structure your society. The universe is full of powers beyond imagination, and they are all watching to see what you will become. He stood to leave, then turned back with a gentle smile. But do not let that frighten you. You have taken the first steps towards something greater. The Federation has thousands of years ahead of it, time to grow and evolve and reach new heights. We will be here, offering guidance when requested, standing back when you need space to grow on your own. That is what Guardians do. As Stone departed, Torn accessed the Federation's astronomical databases. He ran searches for unexplained phenomena, for stars that seemed to shift position, for regions of space that sensors could not properly analyze. The results made his consciousness real. Thousands of anomalies. Tens of thousands. All across the galaxy, there were signs of something beyond normal physics, beyond conventional understanding. And now that he knew what to look for, the pattern was obvious. Humanity was not unique. They were simply the first ancient power to reveal themselves to the Federation. But there were others out there, watching from the shadows, waiting to see if this young alliance of civilizations would grow into something worthy of contact or collapse into tyranny and stagnation. The Federation stood at a crossroads. Behind them lay 4,000 years of certainty, of believing they were the masters of galactic civilization. Ahead lay uncertainty and possibility, the knowledge that they were small children in a universe full of powers they could barely imagine. But they also stood with new knowledge. The universe rewarded patience, respected sovereignty, and valued growth over forced compliance. The path forward was clear, even if the destination remained hidden in mystery. And somewhere on Earth, Ambassador Marcus Stone looked up at the stars and smiled. The Federation had passed its first test. They had been shown their place in the cosmic order and had chosen growth over pride, cooperation over domination. It was a beginning. And in a universe billions of years old, even the smallest beginning could lead to wonders beyond imagination.